to another episode of Coffee with a Kick, Olympic edition, our penultimate Olympic episode, because we're at the finals now, and the third place game, the bronze medal match, you might call it. But before we get to those and pick them, we have to talk about what had just occurred here Monday of this week for the semifinal matches of the Olympics. Morocco and Spain is first one up from 12 p.m. Morocco and Spain, we both we disagreed on this one, but it was looking promising for your pick for a little while. Not at 2-2 as you suggested, but at 1-1, it was close to getting to extra time. But instead, my 2-0 prediction for Spain ended up coming through as more accurate. Although Morocco did everything they could to make me seem wrong, with them getting the penalty there in the 37th minute. That held the course for, the next 30 minutes after that, before Spain started clawing their way back into the match. But I thought that Morocco, I think, the match went a lot different than I had anticipated. Morocco was the aggressor for the first part, but once they got their goal, I felt like they let off too much. It's a thing where if you lose too much momentum, you can't build it back up. So once Spain got their equalizer, it felt like Morocco was playing for extra time.
Yeah, my biggest note for this match was the amount of flopping that Morocco did, especially early on.
Yes.
It just felt, it wasn't even really soccer. Like, even before their goal, they were just flailing around. Anybody touched him, it was like it was the end of the world.
Trying to disrupt the flow of the match. I think that was part of the strategy, is just not to let Spain really get into it, but it was very obnoxious.
Yeah, and it worked for the first half. I mean, Spain had no rhythm. Morocco was pressing them. Anytime there was any sort of potential giveaway, Morocco would just slide their body in the way and fall over, roll around, get the foul call. Yeah. I mean, the fouls difference was 20 fouls against Spain. And then, 20 fouls that Spain committed, and then 10 fouls Morocco committed. And a lot of those were in the first half. But first penalty claim they had, Morocco wanted a penalty. Wasn't really a penalty at all. Brahimi just kind of fell. Yeah. Second one, pretty hard to argue against. It was a penalty. And, I mean, kudos to him for Brahimi for putting it in. I think he's at 7 goals for the tournament. So he'll get the golden boot. I can't imagine anyone else doing it. But Spain, tale of two halves. I mean, they came out. They kind of weathered the storm at the very beginning. And you're right. Morocco took a lot of shots, not a lot on target. It did seem like they were just trying to get to extra time, play out the match, maybe get to penalties. But ultimately, Spain was the better team, and they prevailed at the end with the 85th minute Sanchez goal.
Yeah, they made some really good halftime adjustments, and they came out a totally different team in the second half, and it felt inevitable at some point for Spain. They were really showing their ability there. And then for the other match, this one was so in the end, I got a perfect pick. Technically, 3-1 was my pick. It ended up being 3-1. Now, did I think that France would have to take it to the all the way into the 88th minute before they got their first goal, and then get 2 in extra time after a early red card in extra time by Egypt? I didn't have that in the books. I didn't pick that at all. And really, Egypt, I said that not only was that out of place, but the match itself did not play out how I had thought. Even as how you had thought. You thought that Egypt would be counterattacking, but for the majority of the match, they were like developing. It wasn't so much counterattacking; it was just good possession. And France almost seemed to pick up that other side of it. It almost played out opposite of what we'd thought.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, Egypt were lucky to go into overtime. Yeah. Because in the stoppage time, we saw their defender flail his arms in the air. There wasn't a push.
Yes. No,
and
that was
clearly handballs it.
Clearly.
Probably the worst call and most potentially consequential call of the tournament.
Because it was not only that they got the call wrong, they even went to VAR to check it. And the VAR check was probably 5 minutes in and of itself. And somehow he convinces himself that there was a push, but that's like the gentlest little nudge.
And even if there was a push, his arms were already above his head anyway.
Yeah. Already in
typically
a
push
position.
is going to cause you to flail. It didn't actually impact the positioning of his arms at all. Mm-hmm. And my favorite part was how he came out and he said there was a handball. It did impede the play, but he got pushed. So we're not going to call anything. But, I mean, in that after extra time, Egypt, I mean, they just were obnoxious. Yeah. Like, they were arguing with the ref the whole time. They weren't really in the game. Once Mateta scored the 99th, it started to get kind of ugly. And they did not lose this game with class. I felt like they could have done a lot of talking to themselves about, hey, we're still in this, even though it's 1-1. But they kind of started the two halves there at the end, not in the game. They were still arguing with the ref. They didn't feel like the atmosphere was against them. I'll say that.
Yeah, and this one played out very similar to the Spain and Morocco match in that it was another tale of two halves, where France came out in the second half, and when you end up the match with 32 shot attempts, like you started peppering the goal at some point, and that was the second half. We were chatting a little bit during it that you said down goes France at one point, and said, I don't know, there's a lot of time left in the half when you texted that, and they were knocking, and they were knocking hard, and eventually they knocked it into the back of the net. With Jean-Philippe Mateta being the difference maker there, getting his brace there in 83rd and then 99th, and then the one there at the 109, 108 by Olise. That one was just kind of a bonus goal. Egypt was dog tired at that point after having the red card. They're already deep into second the stoppage time. And I think France may have been able to squeeze another one out of it, but they didn't need to. I mean, they were up 3-1. They know they're going there. They started making their substitutions in full after the third goal. Specifically, they had several other ones to get the people off. Like they took off Mateta because we'll need you for another one. They took him off at the very end though, which was a little silly. But
I mean, let's talk about the Crystal Palace boys. Basically winning it for France. Now, Elise's moved on to Bayern. We'll talk about that in our Premier League episode. But, I mean, two stars of Crystal Palace have been carrying France throughout this entire tournament. And Mateta, if France wins gold, it's hard to argue him against player of the tournament. I mean, he's come in clutch so many times.
Yeah. And,
boy, I'm excited for the Egypt-Morocco game. I think that might be just a dogfight.
There's at least going to be a lot of people simulating fouls at the very least. We'll go ahead and move into that. The bronze match on, I believe it is on Friday. Let me double check that. Friday and then Saturday, right? No, opposite. Thursday is our Egypt-Morocco at 11 a.m. for whatever reason. Egypt and Morocco start theirs. I think Morocco's probably the better side overall in this, but I don't think this game is gonna have any sort of flow to it because of what we've already talked about. That it's gonna be rough. At least it's gonna seem rough. The referee is going to probably play a big part in this match. How he maybe, I don't know. I've seen a couple women out there, so it probably they'll have a guy for the bronze and gold medal matches. But he'll need to put his foot down and make sure that they are at least and keep a lid on the match. I don't know if he'll be able to do it. We'll see when we get there, obviously. But I think Morocco will end up taking it 2-1. I think Morocco 2-1 in the end.
Yeah, I think Morocco throughout the tournament has proven themselves a little bit more than Egypt. Morocco has shown that they can score. They've shown that they can defend when it matters. I think Morocco will feel really hard pressed about losing to Spain in their same fashion. Egypt, they can chalk it up to the red card because once that red card happened, it was very clear they were undermanned. I think if they keep the guy, they actually have a better chance. But I think that Morocco will have a little bit more juice. They have a little bit more star power. I think they take it 4-1.
Woo, 4-1. Morocco has definitely done exactly what you've said. They've been able to impose themselves on other teams, make them play the way that they want them to. They just ran into Spain, and Spain was able to flip that switch in the second half. Egypt, I don't think, can flip that switch. I don't think that they can make the adjustment to counteract whatever Morocco is trying to do. So, I mean, Morocco, I think, will be happy to come out of here with a bronze medal. I mean, I think anybody would be. But for Morocco, with the other teams that were in here, you beat out Argentina to get here. You literally beat Argentina to get here. That's why you're on this side of the bracket. So that'll be... It'll be interesting to see how that match develops. But then we get to Friday, and on Friday we've got our gold medal match for Spain and France. France and Spain, Spain and France. A classic matchup, if you will, between these two neighboring countries. Let's see. Is the Battle of Tours? Is that right? Did that happen there? Is that in southern France? I can't remember.
I have no idea.
Charlemagne, right? I think so. I don't know. I'm not sure. What is it? It's the Song of Roland. The Song of Roland. You know, that classic medieval poem. Epic poem, I think. I don't know. I'm sort of out of my depth at this point. Anyways, France and Spain. How do you think the gold medal match ends up?
I like both of these teams. I think that both of them have good players, good managers, good styles of play. I think I'm going to lean on, just like I did in the previous one, I'm going to lean on France having the experience over Spain. Because like we talked about, I don't think this Spain team has anyone, maybe a couple of guys over the 23, but they're not actually too far off. So they're a pretty young team. And France, I mean, they have Lacazette, who I think he's been a heaven sent for them when it comes to keeping their cool, when it comes to getting collected, getting together. So I'm really thinking France's general ability to be more mature, as well as they're the home team. And I think that's going to actually play a pretty big part. Stadium's going to be mostly French fans. So I'm going to give it to them in a close 3-1. I think France gets a goal late to extend it to 3. But I think they go up 2-0 in the first half. Spain gets one back, and then France scores at the end to win the gold.
Boy, it's hard to pick against France because they have been so good. By the way, it's Rahimi has 6 goals so far in the tournament. So still, he's pretty much got the golden boot locked up. However, I don't know, Fermin Lopez has been like really good. Can I go against France here? I don't know. You're right that the exemption players that France has brought have just been such a stabilizing force. It's such an important piece of their team that I think it probably cures them. I think this is going to be a very good match. I think it's going to be a 2-2 match that goes to penalties. I feel like we need one more penalty match in this tournament to make it really good. Probably one of those will be a PK because we also need another PK. Maybe even Gerard will show up, but that's a terrible joke. But I think it goes 2-2, and then you know what? Spain takes it 4-2.
Wow.
4-2 in the penalty shootout for the final bit. We also want to mention, just while we're talking about gold medal matches, right? Yeah, while we're talking about gold medal matches, that the women's team, the U.S. women's team, did beat Germany earlier this week to make it to the gold medal match. Who are they playing in that gold medal match?
Brazil.
Classic.
Who pulled the upset on the Spanish women.
Yeah.
They were up 3-0 at one point. Spain got a couple back. Brazil also scored. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited for it. this U.S. team, very different
Yeah.
than previous U.S. teams who have been kind of dominating the field for a long time. Fell off for a couple of years. Now we're back and we're playing a different style underneath our new commander-in-chief, I guess you could say.
Let me.
But I don't know what you call her because she's also British. Who knows?
There's a nickname that they have for. We'll call it the Home Secretary. That's a position.
The Home Secretary.
That's a position within the British parliamentary government.
We'll call her that. But she's done a really good job of just instilling belief in a very young team.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard to see U.S. women not lose. I think it'll be close. I think the U.S. women win 2-1.
Yeah, and Brazil's playing for Marta. She's 38 years old. She got a goal in that match, I believe, against Spain.
So she's been suspended.
She was suspended
for 2 games due to a red card.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, they're still fighting for her.
Still fight. She'll be back in this one though, so that will throw a little bit in the mix.
Yeah.
Because Brazil has actually. I've watched the 2 games. They've probably been playing better without her than with her. So you're kind of thinking, do we throw her back in?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Ronaldo Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do we throw him back in? We're better without him, but he's also Ronaldo. So it'll be interesting to see
tournament,
who they line out.
Yeah. If they're winning, you'll like see her brought on in like the 85th minute for a curtain call, essentially, and then she'll probably score a goal against us or something.
Bicycle kick.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say USA wins 5-0. That's my prediction. That's gonna definitely happen. But until we see how this all shakes out, do you have anything else to say before we go?
I don't. I'm excited for the Olympics to finalize, and I'm pretty excited for the Premier League to be back on.
It's going to be here so soon. I thought we had another week of preparatory time, but we don't. So next week, you'll be seeing the preview episodes come out and our week 1 predictions, because next Friday we start off with that glorious what is it? It's Manchester United versus Fulham. Yeah, the classic clash of Man U versus Fulham, starting us off on the 16th. Wow, definitely ready for that, boy. Anyways, until this all comes to pass, why don't you go ahead and grab your coffee, watch some soccer, and we'll see you on the other side.